All right, today I've got a repair going on. This is a ring that came in. It has a turquoise stone in it, but the ring shank is broken. So we're going to have to pull the stone, fix the ring, and reset the stone, and then make it look like a brand new ring. So let's go at it today. So the first thing we're gonna do is have to pull that stone. So what I do on this is a bezel-set stone. So what I usually do is I've got a flat graver. This is a number 41 flat graver. And what I'll usually do is just kind of carefully put the graver in between the bezel and the stone and just slowly separate the two. Now this is a repair. I don't know how the stone was set. Hopefully they did not use glue, because if they did, then that just complicates things. So we will find out shortly. And just kind of going in and just pushing the bezel away, careful not to damage the stone. So on my flat graver, on the back side of it, it's polished so that even if it does come in contact with the stone, it doesn't do much damage. It just kind of more burnishes than anything else. And we're just kind of going around and separating the bezel from the stone. Okay, this is my sticky wax that I use for glue for stones. Look at that. It wasn't glued in. We're in good shape. So I just stick that to the stone, pulled it out, and you can see underneath the stone there is a little bit of sawdust. We'll just pull that out. We'll clean it up, and then we'll start repairing the ring. All right, now I got the ring all cleaned up. So you can see where the two breaks are in the shank. So what I'm gonna do is just line those up to where the breaks just kind of butt up to one another. Luckily, it was a fairly clean break. To adjust one side just a little. There we go. All right, now what I tried to do was bend the ring shank so that the tension is pushing the break together, so that it's holding it together, so when I heat it up it won't separate, but it will solder together. So the first thing I will do is use my my barrier, which is a combination of denatured alcohol and powdered boric acid. What that does is it creates a barrier around the piece to protect it from fire scale and fire stain. Okay, now I'm gonna hold the ring up with my third hand, which I do the majority of my soldering with. Soldering. I'll get some this is my handy flux that I use for soldering silver. I'm going to flux the area really good. And then I will use some silver solder. This is medium. I'm not sure, this ring was fabricated, so I'm not sure what temperature solder they used. So I am going to use medium. I need 2 pieces, so I cut 3 because a lot of times I end up dropping one. So here's my torch. I'm using a Smith little torch with a number 6 tip. Okay, I'm going to preheat this a little bit. The flux is water-based, so I heat it up a little bit just so that it gets the moisture out of there so that it doesn't bubble and boil when I put the solder in place. Okay, and then I just stick the tip of my pick in the flux, and it helps me to pick up the little pieces of solder. All right, now I'm just gonna slowly heat it up, one side at a time. Rotate this so that I can get in the other side. And there we go. It is back into one piece. Set that there, let it cool, and then I will drop it into my pickling solution that will take off the excess flux and remove some of the discoloration from the soldering technique. Now I've got the ring put back into one piece. So I'm going to clean up the inside with a drum sanding wheel. Just going to clean up a little bit of the excess solder. There's not a whole bunch there. On both sides. Alright, that's all cleaned up, nice and flush. Now I'm going to round the ring. Just using a nylon end so that I don't dent the silver. Just making sure that it is nice and round. That's looking good. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and put it in my magnetic pin tumbler just to kind of shine up around inside the cracks and crevices. Then I'm going to put it in liver of sulfur to blacken it, and then high polish the high spot to leave the black down into the recesses. All right, I pulled the ring out of the magnetic tumbler. It's nice and shiny. I'm going to blacken it with liver of sulfur and then polish the high sides, set the stone, and it'll be ready to go. There's the little baby food jar with the liver of sulfur chunks in it. This is my tea pot that I heated up the water in. Just gonna add just a little bit of water, don't need a whole bunch. I'm gonna take and just kind of crush up the little pieces in there. Stir it up, grab the ring, drop it in there, and then you can just see it just turning black. I'll let it sit in there for just a minute or so, just to make sure that it gets nice and black, and then it'll be ready to continue working on. All right, got the ring all put back together. I got it blackened. Now I'm just going to set the stone. Now, a lot of times underneath turquoise and things like that, people will put sawdust and stuff, and I've used that before, but I've taken stones out of rings before that have sawdust in them, and over time they've gotten wet, and the sawdust doesn't smell the greatest, and it's got some funk to it. So what I like to do is put a small piece of plastic underneath it to help set a base for the stone, but it also raises up the stone a little bit higher, and it doesn't absorb things when you get your rings wet and things like that. And luckily I have a lot of companies throughout the country that send me all of these pretend credit cards in the mail, and they help support my stone setting endeavors, because I chop those little credit card things up and make little discs that fit underneath the stone and help the stone setting. Again, it doesn't absorb water, and it doesn't get a smell to it, and they work good. So got the stone dropped into place. This is my little prong pusher. I'm just going to go around this bezel and tighten up the bezel onto the stone like it was before. First, I'll just kind of go in different sections. So what I'm doing is like working on the bottom, and then the top, and then the side and the side, and then I'm slowly working around the stone, so that kind of like if you're changing a tire, when you put lug nuts on a tire, you don't just kind of put them in a circle, but you put them across one another, just so that it stabilizes a little bit better. So I'm just going to go in the different areas, push around the stone, and then once the stone is secure, so like right now the stone is secure, it ain't coming out, then I can go around and either work it around there or use a bezel press pusher like this, and I can just kind of rotate around the stone. And now I'll just kind of, since this stone is not a cabochon, but it's got some character to it and some different matrix to it. So I'm making sure that all of the bezel is going into the little areas of the stone, just to make it so that it doesn't have sharp edges, and so the stone is more secure. So it's looking good. That stone is secure. And one way you can check a stone is if you take the stone, hold it up to your ear and tap it. And if the stone is still loose, you'll be able to hear that stone jiggle in there. This one I tap it and you can't hear anything. So I know that stone is nice and secure. It's not loose, it's not jiggling around in there. So now I'm going to go in with a pink rubber wheel, if I can find it in my mess, right there. And just gonna go around the top of the bezel just to kind of take out any tool marks that I left when I was setting the stone. Which the silver bezels are pretty soft, so there's not a lot of pressure needed. There we go. That's looking good. Now I'm going to take this to my polishing machine and polish it up. Now I could sit here at the bench and polish it up with felt wheels and brushes and things like that, but for time's sake I just like to use a polishing machine. It keeps the dust and all of the dirt out of my lungs and out of my face, because I've got a good collection system that pulls away all of the stuff from the polishing machine. So let's go do that. All right, now I'm gonna polish this. I'm gonna turn on my ventilation, so it's gonna get kind of noisy, but first thing I'm gonna do is use my inside buff, polish the inside of the ring. Let's see, I'm gonna come in the inside as well with this brush and just kind of get around the shank area. And then I'll come on the outside of it with my final wheel and just polish the outside, make it look nice and shiny, and it'll be good to go. There we go. Got her all cleaned up, steamed off, and back into one piece. That is the life of a repair jeweler. So you get all kinds of projects. When you open yourself up to jewelry repair, you get all kinds of projects like that. And you just take your time and know that there's certain stones that can take heat, certain stones that can't. If they can't, then you got to know how to pull them out gently and put them back into place. That's one of the joys of repair jewelry is taking something that somebody loves that they can't utilize anymore and bringing it back to the point where they can enjoy it again. And that's one of the joys of repair jewelry. So you get to, again, you take stuff that people love that they can't use anymore and you can give it back to them so they can have joy back out of it. So same thing with custom jewelry as well. You take something that sometimes somebody has some old jewelry that they don't wear, but it still has sentimental value to them. You can take that, recreate something that they're going to enjoy, still using the same stones and the same metal. So it still has that sentimental value, but they can enjoy it. So there you go. That was Doug with JewelryMonk Studio. Thanks for stopping by, and make sure you subscribe. Take care.